Hi there, welcome to All Things Love, where we explore the many dimensions of love from dating, relationships, heartbreak, healing, intimacy, and all the way to the deeper questions that shape how we give, receive, and understand love itself. I'm your host, Kellyanne Garnett, founder of Sacred Dating, and today we're diving into a question that has fascinated humanity for centuries. Is love only for the destined? Are some relationships written in the stars? Are soulmates real? Can we manifest love, or are we simply being available for what was already meant for us? For women navigating love after heartbreak or divorce or disappointment, these questions can feel deeply personal. We want to believe in love, but we also want to understand it. Joining me today is renowned Vedic astrologer and relationship expert Carol Allen. Together, we'll explore the intersection of love, destiny, free will, soulmates, relationship patterns, and what astrology might reveal about the deeper focus shaping our love lives. Because perhaps the greatest question isn't whether love is destined for us, perhaps it's whether we're willing to open our hearts to when it arrives. So let's begin. So, I want to introduce my guest, Carol Allen. I'm so excited to have you here. She is a happily married Vedic astrologer and relationship coach whose mission is to empower women to enjoy truly out of this world love lives. Her methods are of a unique marriage of East and West, combining her training in the astrology of India with cutting edge real world relationship research. Welcome, Carol.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. I'm so excited. I was watching some of your interviews on YouTube this morning, and
Mm.
I love, first of all, your connection and inspiration and passion about love and relationships and what you do. It's so captivating and
Aw,
inspiring. And so,
thank you.
yeah, I wanted to acknowledge, it's a joy to see how you show up and how you lead and serve. It's
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I really
All right.
appreciate it.
So I always ask my guests two questions. I'm going to start with one and end with one. So the opening
Okay.
question is, what do you believe people misunderstand about love?
Oh man, how much time do we have? Oh boy. Well, there's a few, there's so many things we misunderstand about love, but I think we are in a time in the world where there's this expectation that for me to love you, we have to agree on everything.
Mm,
And that
yeah.
if we don't agree on everything, not only can I not love you, you're actually the enemy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to, more than about just romantic relationships, I just want to take a stand today for like we've got to get back to just caring about each other and loving everyone we meet, at least on the human to human level, and
Yeah.
not being so siloed and not being so fearful and separate and finger wagging. Because, one of the worst emotions for relationships of any kind, and this is from the longest, most rigorous relationship study ever done, the Gottman study, is the emotion of contempt. And contempt is everywhere now, everywhere. And
Yeah.
we're all so disheartened by it and discouraged by it and exhausted by it. And so a huge misunderstanding is this idea that if you love each other, you'll agree. And you'll
Yeah.
agree on all the important stuff. Guess what? You might not. You
And
might
it's
not.
okay.
Right. And so you know, can you be happy anyway? Can you be happy anyway? I've been married 29 years this year. I've known him since
Wow.
1990. I would love to tell you we agree on everything. Like, ha, right? That's hilarious. Um, Now, I will say we agree on the really big stuff.
Yeah.
And it would be hard to merge your life with someone you don't agree on the really big stuff, like where to live, how to live, how to, spend your money, if you're going to have kids or not, all that stuff is the big stuff. But how to deal with each other's families. But like if he voted differently, oh well.
Yeah.
My parents voted differently, and it was the only
Right.
thing they fought about. And yeah, so that's a huge one. The other one is we live in this time where there's immediate gratification, right? And where you can meet somebody so easily, you can connect so fast. If we text someone, we want to hear back from them right away. And if we
Yep.
don't, we come up with a story, right?
Yep.
Like, oh, they don't like me, or they're ambivalent, or they're unavailable, or they're not thinking of me. Maybe they're in a really important meeting. Maybe their phone is dead. Maybe it's in the next room. Maybe like whatever, So I worry because real love takes time. Getting to know someone takes a minimum of 9 months to 3 years. And so everybody needs to like chill out and slow down.
I love that you're saying that because that's been when I'm meeting with clients or posting online, like commenting on things, pace yourself. It is okay to pace yourself. We all want to go from zero to fantasy in 2.2 seconds and being in
Yeah.
the fairy tale relationship, but we have to get to know each other. And I'm guilty of that. I was doing the
Yeah.
same exact thing.
Yeah.
And when I was dating, and I realize now, we're celebrating 3 years together, and that's
Nice.
not a long time, but it really has been the time we needed to. I thought for sure, we moved in together after 2 months.
Wow.
And I thought for sure, we would have the whole relationship figured out by now, but we're just now getting out of the muck that has
Yeah.
come through of, getting to know each other, being different mindsets. We have the same values, like the core values and the goals are the same,
Nice.
but the way we navigate life is so different. And the way that we
Yeah.
um, interact with people is so different. And, he's more of an
Oh, yeah.
introvert, I'm an extrovert, or actually I can
That's me and my husband. Yeah.
waver between the two.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I wish I would tell my younger self, slow down, like take your time, don't rush.
Yeah.
This is your heart. This is why I created Sacred Dating. This is your heart and it is sacred. And we
Yeah.
don't treat it as such. We want that satisfaction, like you're saying, that instant gratification instead of like really honoring the process. So I
Well,
so
and
appreciate
research
that.
shows that women are ready in on average half the time that men are to be
Mm.
a full couple.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I always say the stage between who's that and we're a full couple is agony for women. It's just agony. We hate it. We
Yeah.
hate that. Is he going to call? Is he going to
Yeah.
invite me out
Uh,
again? Is he going to? I just led a retreat over this past weekend, and a woman said, if a man doesn't make a plan for the next date on the date, she's like, forget it. And I was like, what? Like, that's such a tall order. A lot of men need to think things through and process and, or they're just very in the moment. They're not thinking ahead yet, but they'll text you in a week, in a day or two, or the next morning, or in a week. Like, I just thought, oh, wow, she's really setting herself up to fail, quite
yeah.
honestly. So the research shows women are ready in half the time, and that it's very unattractive to men that when we're ready right away. Just like when women meet men, which happens a lot when men are divorced or a little older, that are ready to get married right away too. Like on the first date, they're just like, let's go, right?
Yeah.
And women are like,
Yep.
everybody likes a little mystery, a little intrigue, a little challenge.
Yep.
It kind of makes it more interesting. And so, not to
Definitely.
say play games, but don't show all your cards right away. Don't.
Yeah, don't cry true love too early. Don't cry
No,
soulmates too early. Like, get to know
no.
somebody
Yes.
for sure. In fact, Vince was far clear about us far before I was,
Uh-huh.
which again, in the past, I was like all in. I was zero to fantasy in 2.2 seconds. And so to
Uh-huh.
be with someone where I was trying to actually pace things a little bit, and he was clear, and he was clear.
Nice.
it wasn't like he was trying to push it or like, but he just was
Yeah.
clear that he
I
wanted
hear
to
that
be
about
there.
men all the time. And, men will tell me, I knew when I heard her voice, I knew when I saw the back of her head, I knew when I heard her
Oh,
name. So,
yeah.
we give so much intuition credit to women, but I think men have amazing romantic intuition. My husband said the same thing. He said the minute he saw me, he knew I was his wife, and he was bummed. He did not want a wife. He was like, oh
Oh
no, there
my
goes my
God.
bachelor plan. Like there goes. And but he didn't tell me that for
Oh,
like
good.
3 years,
Could
right?
you
Like
imagine?
I had no idea
Oh
that
my
he
God.
thought that. Yeah, isn't that
That's
sweet?
cute.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Good man. Because I would be like, okay, then what are we doing?
Okay, crazy.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that he knew and then was like, oh man, this wasn't on my on my plan.
So then he was in that internal resistance with himself,
Mm,
right? That had nothing to do with me. It was where he was in his life, which happens a lot too. And lucky for him, I was in that same place where I was
oh
like,
wow.
I mean, I was 23. I wasn't ready for anything, right? I was 23. So,
So young. Yeah.
yeah.
I really think that it should be a law that we can't get married before 30, but that's just me. We've kind of like learned about ourselves and
Yeah.
picked out our career path and all those things and then relationship. There was one
Yes.
thing that you were saying that I loved was about what was it? Oh, how women in particular choose the career path and focus on that and then are so scared to jump into love even though they may have gone to school, studied hard, became a doctor, successful businesswoman, and
Right.
now when it comes to love they're like that's too much work. It's so
Well,
true.
yeah. I mean, most women that turn to me have done a lot of really hard things. They've gotten high degrees, they've built companies, they've had children already. Like they've done really hard things. They've moved across the world, and yet they want love to be easy. They want it to be comfortable and convenient. They want to trip over the guy and have the guy know right away, And I'm always sort of, I think it's a result of fairy tales and rom-coms. We were sort of fed this lie that it
Yes.
should be easy. What I do think should be easy is the getting along part. I do. I think people should have an affinity. They should be able to be themselves. They should be able to feel seen and understood. And that's what astrology is so helpful with, is helping to look at, I do the Indian system, and we have unbelievable techniques for both predicting when love will come and then looking at how two people influence each other energetically and what sort of destiny they have together. And it's crazy accurate. And so when the affinity is good and certain aspects of certain dynamics are fulfilled, couples just naturally can join their lives, and it's not difficult. And so I do think that is true, but I also think you got to go through the time. You got to, get to know someone. You got to have shared history. I saw this, Instagram thing today where a comedian said, I was going to propose to my girlfriend, and my dad said, don't marry anyone until you've seen them sick, jealous, and or angry, right? Like you want to see them sick,
Mm.
jealous, angry. And then he had this horrible joke where he said, so I gave her food poisoning, I cheated on her, and boy howdy was dad right, right? Like so
Wow.
the second part was hilarious, but the first
Yeah.
part was very true.
Interesting.
I always say to clients, a guy can be a great guy and treat you really well until you say no to him, until you disappoint him, or until you don't agree. See what happens then.
Or
See
when
what
he's
happens
sick
then. Or when he's sick.
and
Oh
he's
my
so
God.
grumpy because he's
I
sick.
mean,
And
hello. Well, men are just giant babies when they're sick, right? Like
God.
men are just giant babies.
Oh, yeah. But it's so true. Let's talk about my chart because you did an amazing reading for
Okay.
me. So
Yes.
I just want to tap on into it a little bit as we were talking about how that can help because our chart came up with a lot of incompatibilities. And so we have an affinity, we have the love, we have this deep, deep connection that's been
Hmm.
nothing I've ever known or experienced in my life. But we've also really
Amazing.
triggered each other and
Yeah.
really gone through some intense experiences and
Mm.
situations. And so a part of it is, he grew up in a very abusive environment. I My parents divorced when I was 3, so I have abandonment
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
and then my mom got married almost right away, had 2 more children almost right away, and so I kinda got
Um,
lost in the shuffle. So,
yeah.
how much of what's so in the charts, I mean, is that just playing into this is your journey and this is why you guys are gonna have your struggles? Or how do we differentiate between its life experiences versus its destiny?
Well, I mean, the truth is your life experience was your destiny. So having divorced parents, having maternal neglect, all of that will be in your chart. So you can't really separate those issues, quite honestly. Now, psychology does tell us that we're going to be drawn to people who feel like home, and we're going to repeat what we knew in our primary childhood home. We're going to repeat what we saw.
Yeah,
So we're going to be drawn to caretaker. We're going to be drawn to partners who trigger and remind us of our early caregivers. And,
right.
you know, this is the work of Harville and Helen Hendricks. This is,
Mhm.
Freud. Um, this is imago therapy. This notion that you're not going to fall in love with anyone that doesn't activate your childhood wounds, but there are people with which those wounds can then be healed and transmitted and transmuted, I should
Yeah.
say, not transmit. We do
No.
often transmit them when we're
Yes.
with somebody that really triggers them. The whole world can see, right? But I meant transmute. So it's in those relationships that we feel the happiest because we truly are healed by that love, right? Then there are relationships that will constantly re-trigger the wound and re-trigger the wound and re-trigger the wound, and we can't seem to transmute it. We can't seem to rise above it. We don't get healed, you know?
Yeah.
So what astrology can show us is who who can you merge your life with where you're not going to be as triggered, where you're actually going to be soothed and where you're actually going to feel like, right? And if you are triggered, that person will help heal those triggers. And, and then, you get what you didn't get in childhood. You get that, you get that healing. So,
Mhm.
and Harville and Helen Hendricks talk about this in their writings, like Getting the Love You Want and
Mhm.
Keeping the Love You Found. They say, if you had a lot of drama and trauma, you're not going to like the completely healed and healthy and perfect person. They're just not going to feel like home. They're not going to feel right. They say, like, if you're hugged by a non hugger, you're going to be like, ew, what is this? Right.
Yeah.
But that the healing comes when a non hugger hugs you, when that unaffectionate, when that person who's not naturally warm and fuzzy is warm and fuzzy with you. That's where the healing is. And so I'm not saying like you should be with somebody where it's all perfect. And if there are really genuine challenges uh, that are in the charts, my worry for people is that can be an oil and water situation. That can be you know, so to speak to what you just revealed, and it was your story to tell, I would never tell your story. Um, but you guys, we do this amazing 15-step compatibility technique that's way beyond what sign you are. And it looks to, this is how they've arranged marriages in India for centuries and possibly millennia. And it looks to all the different ways two people feel together, and then things like, do their circumstances support them being together? And does the man make the woman feel secure? And it's stuff that goes way beyond love. But then there are 3 steps of this 15 steps that show, is there a connection that's special? Is there that magic? Is there that feeling of rightness? And the couples that I feel the most compassion for are the ones where there's those soulmate connections that make you go like, wow, this is the nectar of the gods. Like this is the love I've waited for. This is the heart connection. But then they're missing any of the most important, like, can you get your needs met connection? And at the end of the day, I want people to trust themselves and do what they feel is right. And I would never say, I'm the first to say chart smarts. Like if you feel you're supposed to be here, then be here. Just know this isn't easy.
Yeah.
And I do worry when men have had really traumatic childhoods because
Yeah.
women come in with so much more relationship equipment. You know, estrogen is the let's connect hormone, let's bond. Uh, you know, women feel a dopamine rush when they do altruistic actions, and men don't in the same way. Like, so women are more naturally altruistic. Hate to break it to you, this is not opinion, this is science, right? And then women are more natural connectors. So when women have had, you know, traumatic childhoods, it's not ideal either. And they can tend to show up more for relationships. They also tend to do more work on themselves, right? So you have all that beautiful training and that gorgeous degree, and you know, and so it's more rare for men to ask for help.
I'm
Yeah.
blessed in that he does work. He does
Good.
spiritual work. He's highly intuitive. We
Beautiful.
were watching something yesterday and there was something about Italy. And I was just thinking, I love Italy. I wanted to live in Italy for a spell.
Ah,
And so I
sure.
was just kind of daydreaming about Italy in that moment. And he turns to me and he said, I'm sorry, I'm not Italian.
You could feel your thoughts. That's
I
so
didn't
good.
say a word about anything about Italy. Nothing. We were watching
Uh-huh.
TV and I was still staring at the screen. So when he turned to me and said that, I was like, oh my gosh, get out of my head. I don't want him to be Italian. He's fine. He's Hispanic and I do love Hispanics, but I was just like,
Yes.
how in the world? I mean, there are things that he's brought to my awareness that I'm like, how did you know that? That's freaky. So anyway, but he's
Yeah.
very aligned and he said the only way I could survive is to be the antithesis of what I was raised in. And
Oh, that's
he's such
great.
a lover and so
That's great.
passionate and yeah,
Good for
so
him. Yeah, a
in
lot
that
of
sense
people learn what not to do, right? And they make
yeah.
these decisions as young children, like when I grow up, I'm going to have something totally different. And then they
Yeah.
do, you know? So humans are so resilient and incredible and powerful.
Yeah,
So
they really
nice.
can be.
Yeah, the other day
So
I freaked my husband out. He said to me, we were talking about how when you're married or you've been with somebody a long time and you're intimate and whatever, and if you're both intuitive, I'll say something that he's thinking, or he'll see something I'm thinking all the time. And oh my gosh. And I heard someone saying it's not that you're reading each other's minds, it's that you're on the same radio station, right?
uh I love that.
It's that you're on the same frequency. You're like attuned to the same frequency. And so we were driving and he said to me, what song am I thinking right now? And it was an old one. It was like from the 70s. And I guessed it freaked him out. It totally freaked him out. I can't remember which one it was, but it was yeah. Da-na-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na. Anyway,
I can
it
kind of hear it
blew his mind.
in
And I
that.
said, well, wasn't it on earlier? He goes, no. I was like, are you sure? Because it's been going in my head. He goes, no, it's been going in my head. And he was totally freaked out.
Oh my gosh, that
So
is so cute.
yeah, I
I love
know.
that so
It made
much.
me laugh. I was like, well, that's what happens after hanging out for 35 years, 36 years. Um,
I don't love that you called a really old song from the 70s really old. Oh my
Well, just
gosh.
because here we are in
I
2026 and he said,
know.
what song am I thinking right now? I could have said anything,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. You had
so
a
that's what
whole,
I mean. I mean, it
but
is
it's,
50 years old,
oh
Kelly.
God. How did
It's
that
50.
happen? Oh, they really, when they said the time would fly, they were not kidding.
Yes.
Do you believe that some relationships are destined, or is that something we tell ourselves when a connection feels significant?
I mean, absolutely. No question. I mean, I was told 7 years in advance when I would get married. And
Wow.
I totally tried to beat the planets. I totally tried to overcome that 7 year gap and I
Wow.
couldn't. And then boom, it all came magically together right away when that combination that had been predicted kicked in. And so I absolutely do. And I think really big stuff, like if you have kids, like, you know, what you do for a living, like the big stuff is pretty much baked in the cake and built in I always joke we're preloaded at the factory, right? We're preloaded at the
Hmm.
factory. Yeah,
So, what is your, here's one that's kind of a quandary for me. I speak about manifestation. And so,
sure.
and how we practice that. And so, how do I distinguish, or is it just that it's in my awareness that it's my destiny, or is it separate? Like, because when people talk about manifesting, you have the thought,
Uh-huh.
you have the awareness, you want something to
Yes.
shift or change, or you want to experience something new. And so, is that me based on what I'm experiencing reality, or is that something that's based on my charts?
So I do not pretend to know how the universe works, but what I can say is everybody's in agreement that time is an illusion and that it's not linear and that it's all now. And so, and then reincarnation has been proven. Over 1,000 children in a university setting. I believe it's the University of Pennsylvania. And forgive me, I might have that wrong. You can just Google it, and you can find this research very easily. Over 1,000 children, mostly under the age of 6, have memories of places, people, events, dates, etc., that have all been proven. And they also, many of them say things like, God and I decided that you would be my mommy, mommy. God and I decided that I was going to come here and do XYZ, mommy. Like they tell their parents these incredible stories of planning their lives ahead of time with a higher power. And so it's not that we have no free will and so don't do, journaling or goal setting or law of attraction or any of that. It's that you've already decided, right? And you just think. And so when we get an inspiration, when something feels inspired, when something
Yeah.
feels like that inner yes, like that inner like life force becomes alive in us, I think those are the moments that we're connecting to the plan that we've already set up. Get it? And that's why it feels so right. And that
Yeah.
we have soul agreements with certain people and we have past lives with certain people. And when we meet them, they feel like our people and they feel familiar. And we have that Shazam. Now, does that mean that's our forever person or friend or whatever? Not necessarily, but it means there's some gift there. There's something that you're supposed to go through. And so all you have to do, you don't have to plan out your whole life. All you have to do is the next right step at every moment. The next right step. And what does your heart say? What does your knowing tell you? And and then what should you do with that information, right? That's all you have
Yeah.
to do. And the times we get in trouble, I've talked to thousands of people for 35 years now. And the stories are always the same. The times we get into trouble are when we don't do what we know we should, when we go against ourselves, when we settle, when we accept less than we want, when we say yes but mean no, when we marry someone knowing it's not going to work. Everyone I work with that's divorced, when I say, "What were you feeling as you were walking down the aisle?" They always say, "I knew it wasn't going to work."
Yep. I've heard that too.
Yeah. It and why do we do that? We do
Yeah.
it for a million reasons. We do it because we feel like it's too late. We feel like we've come too far. We feel like we owe the person. We feel like no one else is going to want us. We feel like it's time. We feel like, oh, but I've put so much time in, I have to. We feel we're in love with the person. We're totally hot for the person. We hope we're wrong. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
And don't forget,
So,
we don't want to disappoint our family, our friends,
yeah.
the judgments. We don't want the judgments. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. I've been in 10 weddings, and one of the weddings, I was the maid of honor, and the bride came to my house the week of the wedding crying, and she wanted me to look at their charts, and she said, "Am I making the biggest mistake of my life?" And I said, "This is not a way to get married. Cancel." "Oh, but we can't. I was like,
We already
"Yes,
spent all
you
this money.
can. Like, lose the money. Who
Yeah,
gives a flying one?" And of course they got divorced. Like, of course they did. So,
that's unfortunate.
yeah.
And so for
So,
those people who go through that, like one of the things that I hear so often is, was it a waste of time? Or I'm so upset with myself that I wasted this time on this relationship and had to go through all these challenges. And now we're divorced or we're broken up.
right.
What is the feedback that you give clients that you've experienced this with?
I don't believe in wasting time. I believe that life is a school and everything has a reason and a purpose, and everything you only have forever. You only have forever. And truthfully,
I love that.
the attitude of I don't want to waste time, because
Yeah.
that attitude gets in people's way all the time.
Yes.
People say to me all the time, I don't want to waste time. And so then what happens is they're very like, "Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate?" And they're
That was
very
me.
like bottom line and very like quick to dismiss people. And and they can't be in the mystery of it and the discovery of it and the process of it. And it's just not a winning strategy. The winning strategy is trusting that you're here to have a rich, full life of meaning and connection. And that if you meet someone and right away you're like, "Oh God, this isn't the person," then get curious. Why are you there? What
Yeah.
wants to happen?
Yeah.
Are they, is their brother your person? Is a friend of yours their person? Are
Yes.
you supposed to like get a stock tip? Like, who knows? You're there for a reason. And it's so unattractive to be like, like, it's just so unattractive. So
It is.
knock it
I
off.
I just did a video on that last week. Like, take dating less seriously because you don't know. Like you're saying the exact thing. You don't know who this person is for you in your life. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a contrast. Like, nope, don't want to be with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Or it's somebody to give you the stock tip, somebody to introduce you. Oh, I have a cousin, a friend, whomever. Or you're just out
Yeah.
somewhere and you go to the bar and there you meet your person. Like you just never know.
Totally.
So it's, like that pressure. And again, I'm guilty of that too, of like,
Yeah.
where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And just, melting when I'm like, come on, universe, what what else can I do?
Yeah.
It's actually a great line in one of my favorite movies, Under the Tuscan Sun, and she just has a meltdown of like, what else
Yeah.
can I do? And that
Yeah.
was me. Like, what else can I do?
I get those messages. I have a client that lives in a state where everybody's married by 25. She's in a minority group where people that like her type tend to fetishize her type, right? So, and she would love to be with a man of her same ethnicity, and there's like two in the whole state. You know
Oh
what I
my
mean? Like,
God.
so every time we talk, I'm like, "Sweetie, you're not shooting fish in a barrel. You're in like an arid wasteland looking for Shangri-La, and it's really limiting your chances." Like, if I lived in a place where the kind of man I want did not live, I would move. Like, that's what I would do. So for 10 years now, I've been like, "Are you going to move? Are you going to move? Are you going to move?"
Wow.
But she has her dream job that's very hard to get.
Oh,
And she really loves her work, and she's worked very hard to get to the position that she's in. and she's very much a part of the community that is around her work. And she owns her home and she feels locked in. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You're doing it the hard way, you know? And
Yeah.
so I literally got a message from her the other day, you know, I've done therapy, chanting, wishes, meditations. What else can I do? And I just want to say, move. I keep telling you. So, but not everybody has to move. I've had a lot of clients import great men.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Have you had any clients where you gave them, they're like, okay, here's in your charts, it says that at this time, let's say in the next 3 months, somebody amazing is going to come, and then it doesn't happen. It's in the chart, so it should be happening. Is that because it's them getting in the way?
Well, so what's interesting is I used to be much more guilty of that because I I wasn't taking into account enough. Did this chart support the person being in a full relationship in the first place? Not everybody has the destiny to be in a full relationship, like a traditional, lasting, I talked to a woman yesterday, 42 years old. She's never had a boyfriend. Okay. Like some people, their charts are not very supportive of, and looking at her chart was all career, career, career. And I said that to her. I go, you have an amazing career. And she was like, oh my God, I love what I do so much. And I've poured myself into it. And I've really given relationships very little time. Now, is that her blowing it? Or is that her just living a life that's aligned with her soul's journey in this incarnation? I don't think the things are separate. I think they go together. So I used to be, there are what are called seasons of love. And these are shown by certain influences of certain planets as they correspond to your chart. And then we have something called planetary periods that show what you can expect to experience and when. So people would enter these beautiful love times because of these, transits of Venus, the planet of love, Jupiter, the planet of divine gifts and blessings. But if their chart still said they're not here to partner, they would just experience more popularity or more attention, or maybe they'd have better dates, but they wouldn't meet anybody that would lead to anything. So I used to not tell that whole story to people. I have to say too, who wants to tell somebody like, I just don't think that's what you're here to do this time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of incompatible with my career path, quite honestly, because a lot of the time I just simply don't have the heart to like devastate someone. And sometimes, I am honest with people, especially if they really want me to be. If they're like, no, really, tell me, tell me. And sometimes they're so relieved to know. They're just like, oh, that's what I thought. That's totally great. And I'll say, so say yes to the guy 10 years younger. Say yes to the guy who lives across the world. Say yes to the guy who like mom wouldn't approve of or whatever. Because you're here to have an alternative lifestyle, So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I was going to ask that question. And have that be the title, is love only for the destined?
Again, you can't, your whole life is your destiny, right? And the things you decide to do is all part of it. And so, so, yeah. So I don't know how to keep answering that a different way. I'm sorry.
Have you had a client who was really wanting a relationship, and then you did their chart and it was like, yeah, this isn't really where you're going to thrive in this lifetime?
I mean, of course, like a lot, of course.
Really?
Oh my God, of course. And for most people, in my experience, half the population are what are called late bloomers in love. So their early life isn't very good for relationships, but later it is. So I've told a
Mm,
lot of people, you're fine. You just have to be older. In fact, just today, right before we started speaking, I got a beautiful text from my husband and my niece on his side that her new baby just came, right? That
oh,
that she just had her second
congratulations.
child. Well, I did her chart when she was 18, and I was like, honey, your husband isn't showing up till you're in your mid 30s, and it won't be anything you're doing wrong, and it won't be your fault. It's just not going to be time. So she had like the bozo boyfriend in her 20s, right? Who, thank God, she didn't marry. But then late 20s throughout her early 30s, it was just single, 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 single. And her mother, my sister-in-law, kept saying to me, "What do you think she's doing wrong?" And I said,
Oh,
"Nothing. I think she's at the train station and the train hasn't arrived," right? And sure enough, 35, there he was. And so I see that all the time where people think, oh, I'm doing something wrong. There's also cycles we go through called seasons of loneliness. And in seasons of loneliness, you can do all the things, right? You can hire a love coach, you can hire a matchmaker, you can go to every speed dating event, you can be on every app, and you're not going to find something that's going to feel or going to come together. And it's not your fault. It's that it isn't time. And then when it is time, you can make way less effort and it'll come together.
mm.
So,
Is there a difference between divine timing and your chart's timing?
no,
Or are
it's all
they?
divine timing. Your chart is a divine map of your soul. I mean, not to get all like hippy dippy on you, but
No, please do.
it really is. It's not to sound like a broken record, it's all the same. I really think everything is God. You're God, I'm God.
Yeah.
A squirrel is God. Like we're all a
Yes.
part of the life force,
Yes.
we're all a part of the magic and the mystery. We're all a cell in the body of God. And yeah, so there's no way to separate it out.
Do you know, I would assume you do, the like history of Vedic astrology, like the roots of it?
Well, it's first written about in what are called the Vedas, which is why it's called Vedic astrology.
Okay.
And there are over 50 kinds of astrology, and of the over 50, it's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, because the Vedas are like over 5 to 8,000 years old, and they have their own zodiac. So there's 27 signs in
Oh,
Vedic
wow.
astrology that are very deep, very rich, and very beautiful, uh, and basically, it's thought that ancient, seers just basically downloaded it, that nobody invented it, that somebody cognized the information, just like we're
Hmm.
channeling, and wrote it all down. And so there's these ancient books, and then when you go to India, I mean, you want to hear like the craziest thing. There are what are called Nadi readers, NADI, where you go to an astrologer who has all these books of like ancient like palm fronds and your
Wow.
whole life story will be on one because somebody hundreds of years ago knew you were coming and would write down like your name, your parents' names, your siblings' names, your career, the year you were born, like da, 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 and they'll have your whole chart. And you go to these naughty readers and they'll be shuffling through palm fronds, right? And they'll be like,
Oh my
is
gosh.
your mother's name Eunice? Okay, like a name they don't even have in India. Like they'll know, your parents' names, and they'll rattle off all this stuff. You'll go, yes, 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 yes. And they're like, great, here it is. And then they read your chart from that. So it's like this magical, mysterious, very deeply, deeply inexplicable thing. And a colleague of mine went to India and she had 5 Vedic astrologers read her chart in different cities, and they all used chalk and a chalkboard. And so she gave them all like her birth information, and they all were like do 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 do, and then they went and they looked at her and they looked at the chalkboard and they looked at her and they all said, oh, you're a Jyotishi, which is the name of being a Vedic astrologer in Sanskrit. They all said, you do what I do. You're one of you
Oh my
you do the
gosh.
same thing. And they were all
Yeah.
stunned because here she was, a Western woman. And she said they all knew from her chart. They all knew.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's amazing. Your
yeah,
chart, I mean, when you read my chart, it had said that I was going to be like a teacher or coach or
totally.
something along those lines. And
Absolutely. And
I
same with
spent the
mine.
first 21 years as a teacher, so it was perfect.
There you go. Yeah, love it.
Okay, so to wrap this up, this has been so amazing, and I've loved every minute
Thank
of this, and I'd love to
you.
have you on again because I
Love
have
it.
so much more to ask
Uh-huh.
you. But to wrap it up, I would love to know, what has love taught you about yourself?
Oh boy. What has love taught me about myself? I honestly, I don't know. That's such a good question. I mean, I think the gift of doing this work for this long and talking to the people, the many, many people that I have, is this is so central to who we are. This is so the truth of who we are. Love is who we are. And love is what moves and motivates us. Love, it's all we all want. It's all we
Yeah.
all want. And so love has just taught me that I'm just like everybody else.
Mm,
And that all of us are just like everybody else. And isn't that beautiful that the most
yeah,
special, sacred, amazing, magical thing is so ordinary, you know,
right.
and so
That's good.
available to us all and alive and well within us all.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you,
for joining me
Callie.
today, and look forward to seeing you again. I'll put the link to your site and anything that you want to offer in the
So
notes.
would you say that the session we did was helpful or insightful or
It
valuable or
it was valuable,
uh,
valuable. It was a little hard to a pill to swallow, but what
yeah,
I know about he and I is that we are so committed to growth work,
yes,
to using the information to help us expand even further, because we
beautiful.
are so committed to that.
Only you can decide if something's worth it for you or not. It is your life and your love life, and the beautiful connections you have are so special. They truly are like finding the nectar of the gods, right?
Yes.
And that may well make, he sounds like a really good person. You're
Yeah.
obviously a really good person.
Thank
And
you.
that may well make, the effort worth the results. So I wish you the
Yeah.
best.
It's, honestly, it's really allowed me to become more sovereign, which is a gift, and not
Yeah,
super dependent, and to also ask for what I need and not place
beautiful.
expectations on him, because I'm so guilty of like expecting him to meet my every need, like you were talking about
Read
with
your
me.
mind. Yeah, read your mind.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
he's willing to if I ask. I think as women, we want to be like, just know what I need. And that doesn't always work.
wouldn't
So,
that be nice? Right.
yeah, it really would. But they can't read our minds, so we have to oftentimes let them know what it is we need. And it's something he's
Yeah,
working on too, is to let me know what he needs. He's not used
great.
to people even wanting to know what he needs. So that's a journey
Oh,
we've been on as well. But at the end
right.
of the day, I mean, he asked me, how can we, what did he say? How can we spread more love this weekend?
Mm,
Wow.
wow,
Well,
that's
okay, let's
great.
figure that out. I'm here for it. Let's go.
That's great.
So, yeah, he's an amazing
Beautiful.
man for sure.
Beautiful.
Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Oh.
Bye.